welcome to episode 207 of Untitled iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. And I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and Jeff Gamet is here. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, and it's awesome to get to hang out with you. And I know we just recorded the Mac show a little bit earlier, but still, this is a special treat to get to hang out with both of you.
It is. An even more special treat that Patrice Brend'Amour is here. How you doing, Patrice? So glad you're here.
Hi, I'm doing good. Honestly, I've been looking forward to this show for the last, I don't know, when did you schedule it? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I told you. I gave you well ahead advance notice.
Yeah. I was like, this is awesome. We're going to talk about everything that happened this week. This is going to be a sweet show. And it's the second show for today with you. So that's always
I'm so excited to be here. I look back, you hadn't been on the show in like 6 months. It's too late, but too long.
I haven't?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
then it's
Long
about
time. That's
exactly.
right. So, I guess really the show's going to be about WWDC. We're going to recap everything. Really going to pause the news for this week because the news was WWDC. So we're going to really just jump right in and start talking about that and get our views of what's happening. One thing I will mention is we always talk about beta. iOS 15.5.6 beta 2 is still out, and I would this week, and I would anticipate it's going to get released next week because they obviously want to keep the focus on WW and iOS 16. But I would go under the assumption that will finally come out of beta and be released next week, and that'll be the final version before we move on to iOS 16. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there might be a 15.7 beta. You never know for some reason, but yeah.
I could see a 15.7 beta happening for a couple reasons. One would be they found some other critical bugs that they want to address in the iOS 15 line, and the other could be to address hardware compatibility for new devices that might be coming out.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. I think that it's very possible. It's a rare thing I've seen Apple do on an old OS when they're focusing all their efforts and.
I think they did it last year for some reason.
It was very confusing last year because I had to have one iPad on the 14 betas and another on the 15 betas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it can definitely get confusing. Let's just jump right into the coverage here. I did put in the show notes the links. Apple does a great job with their preview pages for all the OSs that were released. So I did put iOS 16, as we know, is out now. iPadOS 16. I did put macOS Ventura in there because there are some new features that are going to be added that really work really well with the iPad and the iPhone, for that matter. We'll talk in a little bit about. But let's first talk about compatibility. I know nobody really talks about that at first, but I think it's important to know what devices are going to be compatible with each of the OSs. I'm glad to see that iPhone 8 is still going to be the oldest of the iPhones that'll be compatible to iOS 16. So I know I saw a lot of rumblings and people complaining, "Oh, my iPhone 7 is going to be compatible." That's horrible. And it's also that's 7 versions ago.
7 years ago.
Yeah, so
that is 7 years old.
I always continue to say how I like that the Apple does keep iPhones in the compatibility of devices with latest OSs for a long time. I mean, iPhone 8 is 6 years, 5 or 6 years, so just quite a long. Mm-hmm. So you go iPhone 8 all the way down to, of course, our current models of 13s. The SE still the second gen and the third gen of the SE is going to be still compatible as well. So that's great, and then WatchOS 9, that'll be out. Thank God, finally. The Series 3, gone. It's not going to be.
Finally. Funny, they're still selling it.
Yeah, they're still selling it, which is even more crazy. I pay $200 for an Apple Watch, and it's not even going to have the latest OS anymore.
Yeah. But you can expect that is going to go away very, very soon.
Yeah. I think I think they'll take it off. Stop selling it pretty quickly here. So that's Series 4 and higher. So you got the SE model, which is the more affordable one. And then you got all the way up to Series 7. We can anticipate new Apple Watch probably next year as well. Or I'll be later this year. Mac OS Ventura, I'll just briefly mention that. Notably, the Mac Mini is going to be down to the 2018 or later. So they're dwindling down on Intel Macs that are going to be compatible. You got 2017 models or later on the iMac and on the MacBooks and the MacBook Pros. So
yeah, this one just gets it. This is the 27.
Yeah. So my one Mac Mini is end of the road now, but I have two M1s, so I think I'm good for a while. So. For tvOS, and there wasn't too much to talk about with tvOS, and we probably won't talk too much about that today, maybe in a future show here, but
I think you just covered
tvOS. Just mentioned it.
Done.
But the HD, the 4K, and the 4K second gen are the only ones that are going to be compatible. So that means any Apple TV that you bought 2015 or later. iPad, which I'm super stoked to say the fact that they're still supporting all of the iPad Pros, including the first gen 12.9 inch, which I have as one of my iPads. So I just installed it. So that is going to be compatible all the way up to, of course, the current versions of the Pros. The Air is going to be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th generation models of the Air. The Mini is going to be the 5th and 6th. And then you got the 5th generation of the basic iPad all the way up to, of course, the current 9th generation. So it looks like basically anything older than 2015 on iPads and 2019 on Macs are going to be pretty much where the compatibility is going to be. So I'm happy to see that. I really am. So so those of you who have the older devices, well, they'll still be usable for a while. They'll to come here. So, but we'll see. So let's jump right in. And we're going to talk. So we can start right off with iOS 16. The first one I think is going to really of note. I know, Patrice, you had some good views on this. Is the lock screen and the widgets that they added. And the fonts and everything that's changed as far as what the home screen looks like. What's your first initial thoughts since you installed it?
I think this is the key feature of iOS. Apple usually tries to do something that people can see immediately, where they know, oh, this is the new thing, and that's the lock screen. And you look at it, and it looks completely different. It still behaves the same or very similar, and it's still lock screen, but it looks vastly different. And I mean, there's so many things even in lock screen we could talk about, like with the focus modes and so on, the widgets and so on. But the one I think important thing is you can almost guarantee that the next iPhone is going to have an always on display.
Yeah,
it's what they did with the Apple Watch, and they brought basically the Apple Watch widgets to the lock screen on the iPhone. So yeah, it's kind of a natural progression to do that.
Yeah, it makes total sense to do that, and I'm kind of liking the way it's look. I like the fonts. The screen. Even the clock looks so much different.
Yeah,
I like the way that it's kind of buried behind the swirl of the original wallpaper, which kind of makes it fun to look at. And
and it's fully customizable. Yeah. Like you can change the fonts to some extent. You can change the colors. You can show what is shown, like with the widgets, but also like times and so on. Obviously, the background, as always, you can change. There's like live backgrounds. I think the weather background, for example, is really, really fun. I'm using that right now. So I think it's one of the things that people like customization, and Apple is offering it in a really fun way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Jeff, you had some thoughts?
Okay. So the only device that I have developer beta on right now is a 10.5 inch iPad Pro, which means it's not M1, which means that there's a lot of features I can't take advantage of. But I mean, we know that that the new lock screen features, most of them aren't available on iPads anyhow. Right. So that's disappointing. But what I really like is that even with just the default typefaces that you get on the lock screen, I think that everything is much more readable now. So it's, I don't get everything on my test iPad, but what I am getting with the lock screen, it does look a lot nicer.
Yeah, I agree. They extended the focus to the lock screen as well, which is great because I need to start using focus. I don't use it enough. I guess I don't maybe that's my problem sometimes. I don't focus enough because I get very easily distracted when looking at I'm doing some work, and then I'm going to look at something personal, or vice versa. So that's a thing. The other thing they added was a focus filter for specific apps, which is really a great thing. I don't know have you tried that yet at all, Patrice, yet?
I thought about, actually haven't tried it yet because I'm waiting for some apps to do it, but I'm definitely gonna, and I'm probably gonna start using, I use focus modes here and there. Like I'm right now, as we speak, in a podcast focus mode. And when I trigger that, everything gets set up. Like the lights turn on, the colors change, all of that. I have a shortcut for that. But I think I'm gonna start using it for work and so on as well. Because now with the focus filters, you can like say, okay, when I'm in work mode, only show me work emails and work appointments and whatnot. Or you can say, when I'm like, maybe do the inverse and say work, you should see everything. But if I'm in my personal mode and I have a personal focus, then don't show me work things and filter out all the work stuff. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to start, and I know that's probably a very European thing to say, oh, work, like when you're off work, you don't focus on the work. But I think I'm going to start using that even more than I already have. Yeah. And now that it's also on the Mac, I think on the Mac, so far on the Mac, it was more or less useless. But now I think it's really good.
Oh, I'm looking forward to start trying it. And I don't have an iPhone specifically. That's my primary iPhone device. And I'm not brave putting it on my 13 Pro Max right now because it's my production device. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've got two iPads now to do it. An old. I'm in the old version. I got a 2018 iPad Pro 12.9 as well, so I can try both. I can try both worlds. Again, we'll talk about iPad in a second. I won't go there, but the iCloud sharing photo library was a great new feature. I think that they released because that was always a big confusing way. I mean, I did it when I was modeling my kitchen. I wanted to share all the photos with all my family. They're in my family sharing. But I had to select each one of them to get them in there to be able to see it, and then I can't get access and all that. But this is a great way of now it's just a one big shared photo library. It doesn't necessarily have to be a family. You can just open it up to anybody easily. So I think this was a good improved feature for that in itself.
Very Apple. As well.
Yeah.
Two other things that were notable was the spatial audio. You now can have personalized spatial audio, so which I think is really awesome. And I like to hear your thoughts on that, Jeff, as far as the sound, having that be able to have that ability to be able to have the personalized spatial audio.
I'm glad Apple did it. It's another feather in their audio cap, to really stretch a saying and butcher it. But okay, so here's the thing. Apple has been making it clear for years now that they're very serious about audio. And sometimes they'll roll out something where it's clear they get it. And other times they miss the mark. Yep. And having that whole individual spatial audio thing is, to me, like I'm saying it wrong. Personalized spatial audio. There we go. It's the necessary next step. So it needed to come. And on one hand, hooray, they did it. And then on the other hand, of course they did, because they kind of had to. But yeah, I'm glad it's there. And I'm assuming it works with my iPad Pro. And I hadn't tested it yet because I kept thinking iPhone. So now I need to try it out.
The setup is a little weird. And it prompted me at a time when I didn't have time for it, because you have to scan your ears for it.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes.
That's probably very cool. And I'm really looking forward to it, but I haven't tried it yet because of that, because I needed some time to do it. And I was like, I was in bed and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it now.
Well, and the thing with what Apple's been doing with making sure audio is correct for the individual user, like the thing with AirPods, where you do the sound check thing to make sure that you have the right fit. This just seems like the next step in that, and.
The fact that you can use your AirPods Pro to do a professional grade audio test in an app that is like a real test. Tells you how good it is. Like you don't need any specialized equipment for that. You need your AirPods Pro.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with that with what Apple is doing with their audio software and hardware. And
hearing test, by the way.
And, yeah. And now, granted, we're dealing with Bluetooth, so we have bandwidth limitations, and we're not going to get the audio quality that you get from a wired connection. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, what Apple's doing is still really impressive. And I think for most people, it doesn't matter that this is Bluetooth because Apple's doing some really great stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They really are. And the other things that really stood out for me was messages. I'm so glad that they added the ability to be able to edit a message. That was always like, crud, I misspelled it, and then you have to put the star in and correct myself. And I don't do that anymore. I can go back and fix it.
And correct yourself 3 times.
Because the autocorrect pops up, and I do it like 3 times. So that was a great new thing that they added in messages. As also the ability to delete messages. Now, I'm interested to know, I mean, is there a time limit when you go to delete it? I think you have to delete it pretty much right away if you want to expect for it to be completely gone, right?
I think it's within 15 minutes or something.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, I believe you're right. One thing people need to be aware of is that for this to work the way you expect it to, everyone needs to be on iOS 16, iPadOS 16, or macOS Ventura. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I did test this earlier with with a couple chats, and it was interesting because the changes took place like immediately for me and for the person I was testing with, but I was watching on my Mac, which is not running Ventura. Mm-hmm. And none of the changes showed up there, even though it's changes I was making.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing too. So I'm really excited to see that, as well as being able to mark them as read or unread. You have that easier ability, and they incorporated some SharePlay features into messages too, which was great.
Yes.
So
you don't need a video or audio call for SharePlay.
Right. You can now,
which is great, because sometimes you just don't want to talk to people like on the phone, or like even worse, be on video. If you're watching a show, you just want a text conversation where you talk about it. And
now that you say that, it completely makes sense to me. I mean, the number of times I watch a show and I have a text chat going on with someone who's watching it as well is strikingly high. And Dave, I am lovingly looking at you.
I know you are. It's just my like, yeah. Great. Yep.
Yeah. There's a small handful of people that, and actually, Patrice, you too. Yeah.
I made your official list.
This will make it nicer because now we'll be in sync when we do that.
True. So true.
I made your official list. So yeah, that's messages, and then. I'm not going to talk with all the things we have to talk about today. I just wanted to pull out one feature that as part of that kind of incorporates macOS Ventura and iPhone and iPad is the continuity camera, which I'm pretty excited about. Although I'm kind of sad. I want to see where Camo Studio goes because they were kind of Sherlocked because of this feature. And what this is not 100%, but yeah, I'm sure the folks at Reincubate are back at their studios and looking to make some changes. And
I see this as an opportunity.
Big opportunity, absolutely. Yeah. But it makes your iPhone as a wireless webcam, which is even more sweet because I'm always tired of having to plug things in to get my as I'm using my iPhone here. I had to use my iPhone 13 Pro Max. I don't normally do, so I'm going kind of a little crazy because I don't have my main daily driver with me because I installed iOS 16 on my 10R and Camo Studio is not
crashing.
It's not working with iOS 16.
Yeah, but
they'll fit.
Oh yeah, you're not you're not in Ventura on your Mac. Otherwise, you could have used continuity camera. I actually tried it, and it is surprisingly good.
Yeah,
by the way, it works wired too.
Oh, okay.
So if you connected with Lightning, that was something that was in the sessions or somewhere in the websites, but it works wired too. So which is good, I think, because then you can I like plugging it in because then it's powering and it's not running off battery and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you don't have to. I think the good thing is you don't have to have it wired. It works wired.
That's great. Yeah, before the show. I was trying to I had already installed it on one of my M1 Mac Minis, and I had signed into the wrong. That's the damn Apple ID thing we talked about having our two IDs.
Oh, Apple
merge our IDs. So I signed to the wrong one on the iPhone. So it's not going to work right now. So I'm going to try it after the show and report back.
Yeah, give it a try. I've heard some mixed things about the what is it called? The second
Black Magic feature.
Yeah. I've heard some people who have said it works, but it was showing more their bellies than the desk. So the angle was kind of off. But that might just be a tuning and fixing thing, and then it works. But they said it worked. They were surprised that it was.
We'll definitely have plenty of to talk about over the next few weeks, probably months, because we can't cram all this into one show here because there's so much information. I mean, this really is. I mean, I don't think I can remember how many new features that Apple released on all across the Mac OS devices.
The thing is, there are not so many flagship, flashy, big ticket items. I think that the lock screen is probably one of the biggest ones and probably one of the few that we got. But we got a million smaller things. And I mean, if you go to the website, there's the all new features link on the page, and you go there, and that shows a long list. Of stuff. I wanted to highlight privacy and security because there were some things that very few people have talked about. There's safety check, which they highlighted in the keynote.
That was the most important feature announced.
Go ahead and give us some background on that. Yeah.
So the for people in settings where you're suffering from domestic violence from your partner or whoever in your environment, you can basically go into the safety check feature and quickly reset the access that you've granted to others. So even if it's on another device and they have access to your account, you can basically reset all of that. And you can also manage who gets access to things and who you have given access to and all of that. So it's a really good overview. There's also pasteboard permissions, which I like. So you before an app can paste, they have to ask for permissions now, or the app probably automatically asks for it. So I think that was important. And then rapid security response is also one on the security side. Across the board, Apple will basically now allow certain security fixes to be installed without a OS release. Mm-hmm. So, every single, and David knows that every single OS release, no matter how minor it is, has a long list of security fixes. And sometimes Apple has to rush them out because there's a 0 day of some sort that's really bad, and they have to release it. And now they can, with rapid security response, they can basically install, just push out that security fix. There are no firmware updates, so anything that is, let's say, bad and could really mess up the entire system, I think they want to check it properly and they want to have a proper release cycle. But anything that is software fixes, they can just push out, and I think that is really great.
Oh, that is great. No, thanks for bringing that up. That was definitely a good standout feature.
And Landscape Face ID, I forgot about.
Oh yes, Landscape Face ID on the iPhone.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Oh, I didn't even know that. Was that announced? Actually, I didn't remember hearing that.
No, that's just on the page.
Okay. Let's make sure we note that in our notes here. So Landscape Face ID.
Mm-hmm. On the iPhone. The iPad has had it. Jeff told me that. I didn't even realize it.
Well, yeah, it had to because people are always doing it in landscape on the iPad.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was landscape always, and it didn't work in portrait, but he told me, no, it works in both.
Yes, it does. I can confirm that as well.
So, but now the iPhone can do it too. So if you're like, especially on a bigger phone, I don't know, you're holding it that way, you want to take a photo or whatever, and like you can just keep holding it.
That's great.
Yeah.
The one,
or you have it in a stand.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
True. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. That makes total sense. I mean, I've got it on the stand here when I'm using it as a camera. If I had to use it, it would work.
Yeah. Like in your car. I turned on. In your car, like you might have mounted it as like a navigation system if you don't have CarPlay. Yeah,
that makes total sense. And then the one last feature of iOS 16 that I wanted to bring up is the Quick Notes has now been added to iPhone, which is great. Yeah, so they did add that into iOS 16 because it was only in the iPad before and on the Mac.
iPad and Mac.
That's the thing where you do the little corner tap or swipe thing. Okay.
Yeah. So you can do a quick note, the Notes app is awesome. I live in Apple Notes. I wish I could use it all the time. Yeah. So much I like it. But
yeah, I mean, reminders changed significantly. Like it's basically a full-on task manager now,
which is a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to
you
check
can
that
still
out.
use it. You can use it the old, very simple way, but like you could basically enable the advanced stuff, and then you can use it as a full-on task manager, for example.
All right, I need to check that out. I'm a big OmniFocus fan, so I just never use Apple's Tasks app.
And I already brought it up.
I'll check.
I already brought it up on iOS 16, and it does ask you, do you want to upgrade? So if we remember correctly, when that happened between.
Yeah,
don't do it right away.
Don't do that.
You need to.
I mean, if you need it, if you still need it, like if you're using reminders and you need the reminders functionality, don't do that.
Because it says upgrade now. But throws three features out there: quick creation, easy organizing, and suggestions and smart lists. So hey, this is beta. Exactly. This is beta. I have nothing on here. I upgraded. But if you have if you have old reminders and you upgrade. Proceed with caution. Well, although we should say, don't put this on your production device, please.
Yeah, but you might put it on a secondary device, and because it's all iCloud, you might upgrade it, and then it doesn't work on other devices.
Yeah, so be careful. Be careful with that one.
Good point.
Yeah, be careful with that. So let's go ahead and a couple things on iPadOS. First off is weather. Oh my gosh, that weather app is gorgeous. Yes. I'm looking at it right now, and there's some drizzle already coming on down here in my neck of the woods. And I love.
It's a surprisingly well done weather app.
The animations are great, and you got the radar right there. It shows the forecasts, shows hourly forecasts. I mean, because you have so much more real estate on the screen, you can get a lot more information here. So I think they did a pretty fantastic job with the weather app.
Well, I mean, the weather app and the weather kit. Novell and her team, like the entire team, I know her.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They did. She was in the keynote and in the State of the Union.
Mm-hmm.
And they did such a great job with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the weather app. I've been a dark sky user for a very long time because I found the weather app lacking. And these improvements that they've made, I mean, to me, it's pretty clear that the dark sky team is fully integrated into the weather app team.
Yes. And by the way, I think all of that is Swift UI.
Oh.
As far as I'm aware of.
Yeah, which makes total sense. I mean, I think Swift UI is definitely where Apple has gone.
Yeah. By the way, it's really hot in Denver and Boulder right now, and it's only going to get hotter today.
Okay.
But that bad news came in a very beautiful interface.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, I'm a Carrot weather user, and I really love it. But this has me. Has me really tempted. Like, it's a really good app.
Yeah, absolutely. They did add some new collaboration features in there. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at those at all, Patrice, as far as some of those things are
limited right now.
Yeah.
But I saw the presentation obviously, and it looks. I mean, the fact that you can now, when you share a document, decide whether you want to share a copy, which kind of was the default before. If you shared a Pages document, it would literally just send the copy of that document. Now you can say, hey, no, I actually want to just work with Jeff on this one.
Yeah, it seems.
So the Google Doc that you have, you could literally do in Pages, for example, and just do a collaboration, and it would work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's probably not as good,
but
separate issue.
Probably one of the more notable things that happened was improved multitasking and using Stage Manager. Stage Manager was introduced into the Mac OS Ventura, and I've started using it now, and it is pretty slick. Because I never could get into spaces. I was never big into spaces. It was always like, oh, where am I going here? And we're going to all these crazy places. But I like how Stage Manager I've got 3 or 4 different tabs open here on different apps. And it's easy just to click and bring you back focus on here. The same thing on the iPad. It's giving you some great things in here as well. So, but so as you see, there wasn't too much as far other than that. Real exciting on iPadOS. Unfortunately, I mean, there were a lot of talk about wanting to become more and more of a desktop type of device. I think Apple just still hasn't got there yet.
Yeah, no. I mean, a lot of the things that we did talk about are also on iPadOS, like obviously all the privacy, security features, all the accessibility things. Freeform, which is coming later, which is basically like kind of a whiteboard for sharing in a call, is coming. Like they said, a lot of the things that we heard about, like the Home app and all of that is coming. But very few of it is kind of really for the iPad. It's more like, okay, the iPhone got it, or the Mac got it, and the iPad got it too. Yeah. And it tells you a lot. I want to highlight a little bit Safari. Okay. Because
it's like before you hit Safari, can I bring up a Stage Manager thing that I just discovered? Sure. Well, not just, but like this week. So, Stage Manager on iPad requires an M1 iPad. Right.
Oh, are you sure about that? Because I think my new iPad Air has Stage Manager.
Yeah, well, your new iPad Air is the M1 model then.
Does it? I thought it was the A15. I would have to double check.
Well, the last double check. You have the last Air.
Yeah, the very new one.
Yeah, so that's an M1.
Okay.
But it looks like that's an artificial limitation. Because people have found in the code where there's a toggle where that potentially can be changed. So what I'm hoping is that the M1 support or M1 only support is a temporary thing while Apple watches to see how overall performance works. And then as we get closer to the official release, they flip that toggle and then like A14, A15 iPads can take advantage of it too.
It's not the first time that Apple has done that. Like they did last year with the live text feature, where they said it would be on M1 Max only, and then they changed it later.
Right. So there's precedent.
Yeah. I said I have seen, because I know I have Stage Manager on my iPad, and I have an iPad like the new iPad Air that came out this year. So
yeah. So surprise, Patrice, you bought an M1 iPad.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought I didn't, but okay. That's funny. Safari. I mean, Safari on the Mac got a lot of things, and Safari in general, it has been like Jen Simmons. If you're on Twitter, follow Jen Simmons. Like she's posting all the time about the really cool things that they're doing on Safari. And I mean, Safari is mostly an open source project. They have their own organization and so on. But like they're like a lot of really cool features, like web push notifications is coming to the Mac basically this fall with Ventura, but it's coming to iOS and iPadOS also next year. And it's a standard push notifications. There's no special thing that websites have to do to support it for Apple. It's the same that they already have for other platforms. And that's really cool for like web apps. Like they can send now standard iOS push notifications. They have to register. Nice. I mean, that's the only thing. They have to be registered for it, and you have to basically say yes, I want notifications. So it's not, they can't, like, the old Safari pop up on the Mac website. Oh, website wants to send you push notifications. That doesn't work anymore. They stopped that. But if you click a button, say, hey, yes, please, notifications, then they can register for it. So that's really cool. I mean, the whole tab groups, share tab groups and pin tabs and tab groups and new web extensions, for example. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much in Safari itself that has changed that like that in itself is a pretty big change that very few people talk about.
Yeah, there wasn't much to talk about on that one, but no, thank you for bringing that up.
That's why I thought talking about it on the iPad would be good. Yeah. Because on the Mac we have so many other things to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see these changes. That there are still limitations, like with specific extensions that I want to use, that keep me from using Safari as my primary browser. But that doesn't mean I can't be excited about what we're seeing happen with Safari.
Yeah.
And that might have changed because they have new APIs for web extensions that allow more extensions to exist. So that could be, and the web extension these days, they're basically the same as on Chrome, more or less.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing with that.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out as well. Again, since I was out of town all this past week, I didn't get a chance to install anything, so I just literally got it all on like late last night and was really.
I mean, for that, if you're into it, the technology preview of Safari is really good.
Yes.
I really like it, and it's relatively stable. So it's not like that you get the beta software that crashes half the time.
Right. All right, let's move on to WatchOS 9. Not a huge amount of stuff happened there in that OS, other than the fact that the health app has some drastic improvements, including metrics for fitness, and it has sleep stages and AFib history, which really stood out. But notably, is the new medication app. I think that's in itself that's going to work in conjunction with both the iPhone and the Apple Watch. And I know you already have some experience with that, Patrice, and you had some good positive results on that.
I have already started using it, I think on like Wednesday or something. I finally got around to setting it up. I mean, you set it up on your phone, I think. I haven't actually checked if you can set it up on your watch, but like probably easier anyway to do it on your phone. But you can search for your medication. They have a database from a really, really good company, like high quality company called Elsevier, which some of you might know for like it's a book publisher actually originally, I think. But these days they're into anything that is content, and especially specialized medical content like medications. But so you can just search for your medication and it might just pop up and have all the info already. But if it's not, then you can just enter it. So the Apple did it in a really Apple way. And on the watch, like it's really good. Like it's the simplest thing you can imagine. It shows you, like you set it up and say, hey, remind me at whatever 10 p.m. I have to take this medication. And then at 10 p.m. you get a notification that says, hey, you should take your medication. And then you can say, I don't know, I'm watching a TV show now, like remind me in 10 minutes. Or yeah, I've taken it. Or I don't know, no, today I don't need it. You can skip it. You can also like log non-recurring medication that you only take, I don't know, when you have acid reflux, for example, and you want to log that, it allows you to do that too. So it's a really good, I mean, the UI on Apple Watch and notifications and so on have changed quite a bit, and they're much, much better, and I really like it. And this is, in my opinion, the perfect example for that. It's a really good app. Simple, but it gets the job done.
That's great. I mean...
That's exactly what you need it to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean on the iPhone they have drug interactions and stuff like that. So it does interaction checks for you, at least for the known medications. Like if you enter something yourself that is not in the database, they won't do it because not known.
Yeah. I will note that this will work on the iPhone on its own as well. The health app in iOS 16 is going to update. Now that you don't have to have an Apple Watch, as not everybody does. That does allow you to be able to use both these new features on the iPhone by itself, the medication app as well as the fitness app, which I was going to move on to now. The fitness app, like I said, only iPhone, or you can use for both. And they have made some pretty good improvements in the fitness app as well, with a lot of some good features. like I said, we talked about metrics for running, and they had a triathlon mode, and some of the other things that are part of the fitness app. So now you're going to have your iPhone with you, and not, because that was always the concern, because if you didn't have your Apple Watch on, sometimes you forgot it. If you are an Apple Watch user, you kind of lost out on some of that data when you were working out. So they really added some cool things on that.
And because it was asked in one of the digital lounges, no, you cannot string together 3 random workouts. It's just a triathlon mode, so only those 3 things.
Okay.
Yeah, it was asked, and I mean, as always, if this is something you would like to have, file a feedback.
Yes.
Or send an email, even like if you're not in the program, you don't have the feedback app, send an email to feedback@apple.com, for example, and let them know, because they're definitely open to that. Like if you say, hey, I would like to do this and this and that, let them know.
I can see where that would be really useful for a lot of people. Let's say you have your fitness workout routine that you do at the gym, and you always do it in the same pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, why not set that up, and then you start your custom workout, and it just moves each thing for you. Yeah, exactly.
I said,
right now we know what's coming next year.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely gonna be next year
for sure. It has to do something with it switches automatically. It detects like what workout you're doing right now, and it automatically knows when to switch. Like it detects it. So you don't have to fiddle with your watch when you're switching from your bike to running or swimming or something.
See, that's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that, like I said, not too much really else on the Apple Watch. I wanted to talk about Passkeys. That was a big announcement. And Patrice, you have some great insights on this new feature about what it's all about. The fact that you're not going to have to use a password anymore using this passkey and security. Why don't you kind of give us a little bit of a background on that?
Okay, so I mean, I'm not going to explain the entire system because it is really complicated. Technical.
In English terms.
In well, it's all English, but no, it is like there's a lot of security. There's a lot of details. Right. But let's put it this way. Do not imagine your passkey as a password, because it's not. It's basically two keys that are generated on your device. One is your secret key that you keep on your device that you can also share with others, which is really cool. Like you could share your secret key basically from your device with your spouse, for example. And one is what's called a public key that is shared with the website. Public keys, for example, the certificate that you see in your browser. So the little lock that you have and you see, oh, this website is secure, whatever, that is actually a public key. And with that, what websites into your device can do is the following. They can basically, you can on your device generate let's say a message, let's call it a message, a special message that can only come from you. And you send that message to the server. And then the server can take your public key and check that it really came from you. And as I said, there's a lot of math involved in security, whatever, how this message exactly gets constructed in a way that it can only come from you. But the idea is basically you send this message to the server takes your public key that it knows and has associated with your account. It says, oh yeah, this is from David. And then it says, okay, sure, this is David, so I can log David in and he can use the app. And that's really, really cool, because even if someone compromises the server, like, all those hacks that have happened where someone got all the passwords from LinkedIn and all of that, that doesn't work anymore, because the server doesn't even have anything that could be used to send a message that says, I'm David. The only way to do that is if someone got hold of your house key, your private house key. That's the only way how that could happen. And obviously you can share. That's kind of actually a good example, like your keys for your house. Like you can share that with your spouse, and then your spouse can log in and they don't have to know anything else. Like you got your key, like your partner, and you're in the house. And that's, I think, the cool thing about this. And if you combine that with something like log in with Apple, log in with Google or whatever, where you literally don't even need a username and password, then you don't need username and password at all. So the way this key is generated is basically you have to log in on your device once. So the first time you go to the website, let's take Google, for example, Google Mail, Gmail. Like the first time you log in, you have to use your username, password, and at least for Google, you have to use your username, password, and your two-factor code. And once you've done that, once you've logged in once, this pass key gets generated, stored on your device. And from that point on, whenever you need to log in from this device on Gmail, every now and then Gmail will ask you to log in, or you logged out, for example. It doesn't need the username, password, whatever. It uses your pass key, sends the message. There's a little bit complicated stuff in the background, and you're in. And if you share that key with your partner, then your partner has the same thing. They can just use the key, go to Gmail, enter username, they're in. They don't have to do two-factor authentication and ask for the two-factor code from you and all of that. So that's the really cool thing and the really secure thing. And as I said, if you have your iPhone already and you already you have Apple and iCloud set up and you have login with Apple, the website doesn't even need a username and password. You can literally say log in with Apple. Oh, now you're logged in. And now I generate a passkey for you, and on your device it is. And that's kind of the, let's say, summary of it. There's a lot of details, and this works, by the way, also on non-Apple devices. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you're at a friend's house and you want to log into Gmail, and I don't know why you would do that, but let's say you do, on their Mac, they can go to Gmail, enter your username, and then you can say, hey, this is not my device. And it shows you basically a QR code. And you scan that with your phone. And the phone basically communicates, from that point on, there's a Bluetooth connection with the computer. And the phone basically talks to the browser, exchanges a special key. And that key can then be used to log in. But it's not stored on the computer. It's literally just for that session, you can log in. There was no username or password entered at all. The key is a one-time key. It works that once and then it's gone.
Patrice, just for clarification, mm-hmm. because it's doing the Bluetooth handshake communication thing. It's not actually requiring that you pair your phone with that computer. It's just a requirement that the computer has Bluetooth.
Yeah, it's an ad hoc Bluetooth. That's what the QR code basically is for. It's an ad hoc Bluetooth communication between the phone and the browser. Bluetooth, I think even Wi-Fi would work. As far as I've seen, you don't need Bluetooth exactly. But it has to, there's basically an ad hoc communication. You don't even need to be on the same Wi-Fi. It's basically an ad hoc network that gets set up so that they can securely share the keys, because you don't want to send that somewhere over a server or something, because then it's insecure.
Right.
Yeah. So as I said, that's the short 5 minutes.
No, that was great.
It is really, really, really cool. And there is, other than compromising your device, no way to get that passkey. And Apple obviously does everything to secure it. So you need, to use the passkey, you need biometric authentication. So you need your Face ID or your Touch ID. Otherwise, you don't even get to it. There is still a way to steal it, but you have to steal it from the device. You cannot steal it from a central server for every user. So they would have to compromise your device.
You've got bigger problems.
Yeah, exactly. If they have an app on your device to steal all of that, then you have a bigger problem. And it's really hard to do that for, let's say, 1 billion users. Steal 1 billion passkeys from 1 billion users is very hard. Stealing 1 billion users from a central server, not so much.
Yeah. No, thanks for giving that background on this. I think this is going to be something of the future, because it's been the discussion for quite a while. People are just getting tired of passwords. I don't want to use password anymore. Mm-hmm. And to have something this secure and not have to remember a password, depending on that is huge. So,
Yeah, and I mean, Apple didn't invent this. There's this FIDO alliance that has been working on something like this for a while. There's like Google and Microsoft and a bunch of other big companies in it.
Yep.
So this is gonna be cross all devices, cross all websites eventually.
Great. Other thing that was announced I wanted to talk about a little bit here is Apple Pay Later. It's a new payment system that's going to be used. It's not necessarily a credit card. It is a payment like a buy now, pay later. PayPal's got this type of service. So these types of services have been around for a while, but it's kind of looking like Apple's. As we were thinking about for a while is they did get Goldman Sachs to back up the Apple Card for their credit card system, and Goldman Sachs may necessarily be working with them on this venture as well, but it's looked like more Apple's backing this more than a bank is. But what it basically does is it gives you 4 equal payments that you make payments on. I don't know if they do a soft credit report or how it works as far as that goes.
That's what I heard. They're doing a soft check.
Soft check.
So it's not like it won't be a hard inquiry on your credit report. Yeah, because they're not just going to do it for just anybody. Because, I seem to remember I was looking at I read some of the articles saying that there was a high amount of someone at least missing one payment. So this is going to be interesting to see where this goes. But these buy now pay later services are probably a little worried about this. I mean, that hasn't been too exciting as of late as far as any profitability with that, but. Apple's jumping into this. I think this is a good one, and I think it works in coordinates with the Apple Cash Card, doesn't it? Or is it just by itself?
It has nothing to do with Apple Pay Cash or Apple Pay.
Okay.
With Apple Card.
So it's going to be a separate service that you'll make payments separately to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I understand it is that when you go to make an Apple Pay payment. Or transaction happen linked to whatever credit card you have, you'll get an option that pops up at that point where you can choose pay all at once or break up the payments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like Amazon is doing it when you do I think it's 5 payments or something. You can simply choose an option to say I want to pay it, you still pay it with your account, with your card, whatever, but you can split it up. Yeah. And the interesting thing is Apple set up a separate company for that, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I said it when the whole thing started. I said Apple probably wants to become a bank eventually, but it just takes many years to do so because of all the regulatory stuff that they have to fulfill, and that's what's happening. Apple has set up a separate company for it, but there's still Goldman Sachs in the background for all the official banking stuff where you need banking regulations.
Yeah, it's going to be. Definitely going to be interesting to see where that goes. Again, another service that Apple's dabbling into. The services sector for Apple continues to grow. So, other thing I want to talk about was CarPlay. CarPlay had some pretty big announcements. I thought it was pretty exciting to see. They really are wanting being in cars. They really want to have the immersed experience of using everything that CarPlay has to offer. Right now, as we have it, I mean, it's limited. I mean, it limits to your head unit and what your head unit is capable of doing, and the software and what it does. I've had it for a little over a year now, and I've been pretty happy having it because it was a long time I didn't have it. So, because some of the car manufacturers that get into this world that just didn't do a very good job with it, and it's definitely something that's going to be of big interest. They showed during the keynote how you'll have different multiple displays, but again, the car manufacturers have to buy into this. I mean, it says on their site that vehicle announcements will be coming in 2023, so they must already be working with some of the car manufacturers to be able to deal with this.
Well, they had a nice list of car manufacturers on a slide during the keynote. And there are other manufacturers that have been reached out to that weren't on the slide, and Toyota being one of them. And Toyota just doesn't have an announcement yet. Ford doesn't have an announcement yet, but they phrased their "we don't have an announcement yet" statement in a way that kind of implies that this will be coming. They're just not ready to talk about it yet.
And like it says on their site, this is going to be a specific version of CarPlay for each vehicle. So each vehicle manufacturer is going to be different. I mean, you can't force all car manufacturers to be using the same thing. That's not their business. They're in the business of having something unique. And if Apple's willing to do that, that seems like a pretty cool thing when it comes to that. But there's going to be some widgets customizations, which is going to be nice. I mean, even for those of us now, when the new CarPlay comes out, I don't know. I probably should hook up this iPhone 16 installed phone to see what it looks like on my car, and you will get to do some more personalizations, which is nice. So you really can personalize a lot more. I think even apps. There's going to be some more apps that are going to be coming as well. I think we're looking to add some more apps than ever before, because it is. Let's be honest, it's very limited to what apps there are available. I know the gas apps are kind of probably have some better integration with their apps, and it's you'll see things like that, and it's definitely going to be something to really look for, because
You're still not going to see Angry Birds.
No, I don't think there's going to be any interactive type of apps.
Then
I'm out.
No, I saw the session for it because I was interested in what they're doing, and there's still some rules. Like, it has to be something that is driver specific.
Right. Can't be distracted.
And it has to be something that you would typically do before or after the drive.
Yeah, no, that would make total sense, because you don't want to be distracted. But having all these great screens of all the information, now, I don't know if you necessarily. I mean, when they were showing some of these screens, not everybody's too overly excited how my speedometer looks like, or how my HVAC systems look like. But seeing some of these pictures and like having a full out screen across the left and right side of the dash is pretty amazing. But again, the manufacturer has to do it too. But
some cars have shipped like that. I think was it Mercedes or BMW? I don't remember, but there's I've seen some cars that have that, like across, like the big screen, basically across the entire car.
So I mean, they're doing it. It's just now a matter of do they want to do it? Could this entice manufacturers like Tesla and BMW and others don't want to do it? I mean, I thought it's very possible. Elon Musk could be interested in something like this, because it's. But then again, I don't knowing him. I tend to doubt it, because he doesn't want to get involved with it.
No, this is a direct competitor to Tesla software.
Yeah,
100%.
BMW will look at this long before Tesla does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, BMW does have CarPlay support, and BMW actually does work quite closely with Apple. I mean, all the keyless login stuff on your phone, all of those came to BMW first, like all the features. Yeah,
for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see. Again, CarPlay is like Apple TV devices is not always the very exciting things that they talk about when it comes to that. So,
but I think we've seen some part of the new Apple Car.
Yes, I think that they've really that did show it. That there could be there's definitely that Apple's going to be another business they want to get into. So who would have thought that Apple being involved with all these businesses these days, when they were just a computer company over the years, and now they're just into everything. One last thing I wanted to bring up was the Home app. The Home app did get a nice redesign, and they did partner with Matter as a new standard. I don't know if either of you have tried the Home app yet. I know you both are using. How do you see it as far as any changes that is for the good?
Much better. I mean, and that's not a big jump.
Yeah,
because the old app was really bad.
Much.
Yeah, it is bad.
It's really much better. I mean, I use a lot of HomeKit, and I mean, sure, I use it through Siri a lot, but I also control it quite a bit through the Home app, and I actually use the Home app. And it's so much better. It's so much easier to see what's going on. It's just much better.
Yeah, I found the Home app to be an essential part of managing your whole smart home setup. And I've played with the app a little bit on my iPad, and it's definitely easier to see things. And I haven't tried setting up any special automations or scenes.
I haven't done that either
yet. But that's only because I want to set up things that are different from what I already have, just in case it completely screws something up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So there you have it. We pretty much covered everything. We still got it within an hour. I'm pretty impressed.
No, we didn't cover.
No, there's a lot of stuff.
There were a lot.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, this is a good tease, but it gave you. I think we gave you a good, nice overview of what really was announced. But expect over the next few weeks and months, for that matter, to talk more.
There's one thing I did want to mention if we have like 2 minutes. Because there was one thing in the sessions that I noted down that stuck out to me, and that might be very interesting for our audience, and that is virtualization with Rosetta. So Apple showed a way, and you still the apps have to integrate it, because Apple doesn't ship it as an app. They showed basically how the API works for it, and then the apps can integrate it, which is really cool to do. But basically, you can run either Mac OS or Linux with Intel software, and as a virtual machine. And that, I mean, Windows was absent, but I'm guessing that's a Microsoft problem, because the whole system still has to be ARM. So the Linux would still be an ARM version of Linux, or the Mac OS would still be an ARM version of Mac, or Apple Silicon version of Mac OS. But you can run it with Rosetta virtualized, basically Intel apps, and it's not a special version of Linux or something you have to install. No, it's like in the background, like hidden. They're basically using Rosetta. So if you run an Intel app, it's pretending to be Intel, and in the background, Rosetta will translate it. And that is really, really cool.
That is cool, because I use Parallels a lot. And the old x86 OSs you can't run on an M1 processor. So I'm around it now, but I'm over it now, because I was able to get Windows 11 ARM based. They have a full out version of that, and so I'm pretty happy that I have that on my M1. And is it fast? It's really it's
yeah. As I said, they didn't mention Windows, but I think because there's no official version yet. That might still be coming. But I said it was really cool. Like
by that time,
one of those things.
Those OSs will be ancient history, and I would hope those you people are still wondering Windows XP. You need to just get a life.
Yeah.
Internet Explorer
goes
away in 5 days. So.
Yeah, because that was one of the big issues with the whole transition, and one of the big issues with even Parallels and so on. They were struggling with it to run Intel stuff on ARM, because it's hard to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Apple did it with Rosetta, but they have their own APIs, so it was easier. But as I said, they basically now allow it, and Parallels will have to integrate it, and all the open source systems will do it, and then it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for Docker, for example, also important. If you're running special Docker containers that need Intel, you can now do that.
Well, thank you for your insights on that, and we appreciate that. And let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You also can become a Patreon of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we are live streaming. Usually we live stream on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, but today we were streaming on a Friday because of the WWDC and scheduling for me, because I had the business trip this past week. But you'll definitely get notified if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/DaveG65, where you can also watch and listen to the past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the articles and topics we discuss are flipped into that magazine. The link is in the show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. And Patrice, thank you so much for being here. I always love having you on the show. And when we get our schedules in sync here, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I hope I didn't talk too much.
No,
I know all of this is very exciting for me.
Excited for all of us here.
It's so much.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, I've been spending a lot of the week watching all.
That's why it's great to have you here.
You can find me. Thank you. I said I hope it wasn't too bad. Thank you, for having me. And I'm every week, twice a week with Jeff on British Tech Network. On Thursdays with the Big Show, like everything non-Apple tech, and on Fridays on the Mac Show with David and Jeff. When we talk about Mac and Apple stuff. You can find everything I'm doing, all the social media links, the projects, the podcasts. If you want to buy me a coffee to support me, all of that on thepatrice.com. There's only one. And if you want to listen to other people talk about their food memories and stories and just everything that goes with that, then you can head over to foodieflashback.com, which is my interview show.
Great. Thanks again. And Jeff Gamet, thanks as always for being here. It's always appreciated. Where can people find you?
Well, thanks as always for letting me come on, and it's loads of fun. So I'm happy to be here. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, jgamet on both, youtube.com/jgamet for some videos. Most Tuesdays on Mac Voices Live, and then Thursdays, the Big Show with Patrice, and then quite often Dave in the evenings with you on In Touch with iOS, and then Fridays again with Patrice on the Mac Show, and then the Context Machine, where Brian Chaffin and I have teamed up again. And we have a new show out where we pretend like we are talking about WWDC, and we actually do get a little bit of that in there too. So anyhow, I get around.
Somebody didn't like Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I was shaking my head.
I don't get that. I mean, I like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it.
But to each his own, I guess. But I really appreciate all of you listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. We enjoyed doing it, and we'll talk again soon.